Okay. Welcome back to New Realities. I have another fantastic program coming up about the Sedona Ascension Retreats with my co-host, Suzanne Ross. And we have a very special guest star today, Maureen St. Germain. Maureen, thank you for being here. Do you want to do a little brief introduction to Maureen, Suzanne? Because she's coming to
Sure.
our
Yes. I first became aware of Maureen St. Germain all the way back in 2012 with her book Beyond the Flower of Life Meditation. She's been an author and a teacher for decades. I have learned so much from Maureen. She is a unique teacher who teaches about ascension and 5D. At our upcoming Sedona Ascension Retreat, she's going to be teaching about time and how time is malleable. You'll want to visit Maureen St. Germain's website, which is St. Germain Mystery Schools, because she offers all kinds of courses and books and products. But we are so delighted to have her be a keynote speaker at our Sedona Ascension Retreat. Welcome, Maureen.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. And, it's Suzanne who made it possible for me to be in Sedona because I was given an instruction to move and start my school in Sedona. And the person who carried that message was also told to give me a sum of money, which she did. And I just sat on it because, COVID had started. And then Suzanne, very clever Suzanne, found a way to hold a conference outdoors and pulled it off. And when I realized that I was coming to Sedona for this live conference that she had invited me to speak at, I thought, oh, I could look at property while I'm here. And the rest is history. So I'm so grateful to you, Suzanne. You've been so wonderful to have as a organizer and friend. So I'm grateful. And those of you who are watching, I can assure you, Suzanne puts on a first-class event, and she has wonderful speakers, wonderful presentations, a number of guided tours, and I'm leading one as well. I'm going to be leading one to the very easy to get to. So if you're not a walker and you don't want to go on a big hike, this is the one to go on. And it's to the Amitabha Stupa, which is a special place that was built inside a place called the Peace Park. And Amitabha is the Buddha of enlightenment. And when you call to Amitabha, you can also ask Amitabha to clear away your vices. So the Amitabha Buddhist is one of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas that clear away the vices of anger, greed, lust, all these things that we humans have a predisposition to kind of fall into when we're, not at our best. So it'll be a very special tour. It'll be on Monday morning. And then the whole conference starts Friday afternoon early. And we are so excited to be talking about this. And the name of my talk on time is actually called What the Lords of Time Want You to Know. And the Lords of Time started coming through me when I sat down to give a channeled message, and I was in China, and I never had heard of the Lords of Time. And so when I opened my channel to, the master that wanted to come through, these guys, and I'm being a little bit flip here, these guys came through with this very loud announcement: "We are the Lords of Time." And they have given me so much information. And there are some of you that may be like me and connected to time in a different way than everyone else. So everyone else has awareness of time, and they have, I'll call it an obligation to time, and they follow, a clock, and they follow appointments and things like that. And for me, I have pulled away from using time this way. And long before I was working with the Lords of Time. What I mean by that is, I was traveling every weekend to a new city, and I wouldn't use an alarm clock. And I would always get woken up on time and in plenty of time. And this went on for years and years and years. So And I also felt that wearing a watch wasn't the best thing in the world to do, so I don't wear a watch. So I don't know whether I was drawn to them or they were drawn to me. I can't answer that. All I know is they've given us a lot of information that I know each and every one of you will benefit from. And I can also add that this new understanding of how to work with time will actually help you be multidimensional.
Wow, fantastic. Let's just flash the poster for the event coming up, Suzanne, so we can tell everyone where I and Suzanne and Matt Kahn and Linda Moulton Howe, some other fantastic people. So just, and then hit the, yeah, there it is. We have some fantastic, besides Maureen, there's Darryl Anka and Bashar, there's Linda Moulton Howe, there's JJ and Desiree Hurtak, Matt Kahn. This is an all-star cast, really. William Henry. This is really a fantastic people that you got there. I mean, it's a meeting of the minds. Who else do you want to highlight there on the poster?
Oh, well, I'm just so excited to have Linda Moulton Howe. And I just want to give you all the credit for that, Alan, because you made the connection between me and Linda, me and Bashar, me and Anita. Linda is just such a dear, sweet soul.
Isn't she?
Oh, isn't she? Right. And I just, every time I talk to her on the phone, she just tells me all the secret intel, and it's so fascinating. But she's just generous with her time and her knowledge, and I'm just very excited. And she's going to be doing like 2 presentations on stage, a guest panel, a workshop. So we're really excited about that. Of course, Bashar, you and I got to sit down with Bashar in Darryl Anka in Vegas, Alan, and we had a wonderful conversation about ascension and, how the different trains are going to be leaving the station, and, people on the different trains, which represent different vibrational spectrums, are going to be going in different directions. And so we decided we'd sell tickets to the ascension train at my event. But yeah, Anita's a dear sweet lady.
For fun?
That would be fun, wouldn't it? Yeah. We
Yeah.
should just do that for fun. But yeah, I mean, these wonderful people. Of course, William Henry is just near and dear to my heart. He's such a sweet, humble soul and really dedicated to the path. Matt and Joy, right? They got engaged because they met at my VIP speaker meet and greet last March. I didn't even know about it until later, and they call me their matchmaker now. So lots of magical things happen at these events. We have the channelers, the near-death experiencers. I mean, some of my world's favorite teacher, of course, Dr. JJ and Desiree Hurtak, who I just admire, respect, and honor so deeply. So I just feel so privileged to, be able to present these world leading luminaries and share them with the audience.
Right. So for tickets, go to SedonaAscensionRetreats.com. I'm going to put that in the chat, in the live chat. And there's still some tickets available, but it's going up, isn't it, Suzanne?
It is filling up, and I do have to say our outdoor journeys and workshops are selling out. We're sold out on Friday of outdoor journeys, so we've added some on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. But yeah, you'll want to book your tickets now if you want to go on one of those journeys into Sedona's vortex sites with one of these presenters like Maureen St. Germain.
Great. Okay. Oh, wait. Okay. So can you stop sharing on your side now? Great. Well, that was a great promotion, but I'm really interested in what Maureen had to say about the Lords of Time. I also want to talk to you at some point in this conversation about your because that's something we're coming into. Like the gathering of people Suzanne put together is a sort of mystery school.
I agree.
Our own soul essence, which is what the path were, but you have it. So yeah, tell us who are the Lords of Time? What does it look like? I mean, 2024, Pluto going into Aquarius, it is a shift of the ages. So I'm really about everything you have to say, Maureen.
First of all, I think that the Lords of Time are not about prediction as much as they are about education. Because as you know, and as our listeners know, the more we do to elevate ourselves, the more we gain control of the world around us. And we use that awareness then to create the world that we wish to have. So there's something very important about understanding that time is a construct. It is not what we have been told by science as being the fourth dimension. And I have never understood that being called the fourth dimension. So I have to say that, you know, my guidance was don't believe it. It's really not true. It is a different understanding. Yeah.
I agree. I'm with one of my associates. Says, no, it's not the fourth. So there's dimensions of time. So how could it be the fourth dimension? It's
well said. Well said. And what I also can share is that we are using time proactively when we create something that we want, and we hold that vision very clearly. And you use time proactively by choosing to go to an event after you have achieved your heart's desire. And what that does is gives the lords of time, the time energy, a place to rest, a place to land. So it's a little bit like putting a tractor beam on where you are today, and then this wonderful outcome that you are seeking, but then beyond that. So the best example I give people is the idea of, if you want to be with someone, a partner, and you're not with someone now, then your very clear visual would be to not see yourself getting married or moving in together, but to see yourself celebrating an anniversary. That would prove to the Lords of Time that you have this creative ability to create a visual of, you know, I'll say clinking glasses or some kind of sweet celebration that would prove that you were happy and you were together. Just on the flip side of that, one time when I was in France, and the French woman said, "Tell my son how to manifest." And I got to this place where I've just described to you, and his parents were fighting all the time. And I said, "So what happens after you have been married a while?" And he says, "You get a divorce." And that's when I realized that I wanted to always say that you're happy. And so that's always a celebration. And there's more to this than what I'm giving you in this moment, because we're doing it, you know, just to kind of walk through. But what the Lords of Time have said is, when you begin to understand that time is malleable and that there are many timelines that are starting to cross and intersect. And I'll give you another example. One of my students said to me that she was with her partner and noticed that the car had a mark in it where a stone had hit, and it was starting to crack, you know, and starting to spread. And she reminded her partner, you know, you're going to need to get that fixed because it's going to grow and be a bigger problem. They both agreed that that would have to be taken care of. And then the next time they were in the car, there was no crack in the windshield at all. So the woman said, "Well, when did you get this fixed?" "I didn't get it fixed." They jumped timelines, and they jumped to the timeline where it was already fixed. So it could be that they jumped to a timeline where it never happened, or it could be that they jumped to a timeline where it was already handled very quickly. Neither one of them remember getting it fixed. So my guess is that they jumped to a timeline where it never happened in the first place.
Wow.
This is that Mandela effect. And I know Suzanne likes to talk about that.
But there's so much to talk about here. First of all, first of all, I want to acknowledge you, Maureen, for being a manifester of the relationship. When I've seen the relationship that you incredible, beautiful thing you for yourself there.
It's true. It's very true. And this is for, well, this is a joke I will tell again because I think it's so much fun. But the spouse or partner you have before you meet your beloved, your true beloved is your practice partner. And then, when someone refers to their the person they were with before, they often say my ex. Well, that sounds kind of mean. And they might say my
Former.
my what?
The previous former partner.
Yeah, former. That was the word I was looking for. My former partner. Now you're trying to be nice, but you're still its tone, right? But if you say that was my practice partner, it says a whole lot. First of all, it says, I get it that I wasn't ready for this person because I had to go through this first. I had to discover that I was screwing up. Maybe they were too, but it wasn't a good thing. And I learned a lot about myself and what I'm looking for and what I expect. So yeah, it's been very, very powerful. I was
I need.
I was with one of my students who was having an Akashic Records reading, and he was asking about his twin flame and if the twin flame was, if there was something he could learn about having his twin flame. And one of the things the record keeper said was, it isn't all roses and chocolate. And he says, what does that mean? And the answer was, well, when you're with your twin flame, you can't get away with anything. Your foibles come up for clearing. And so it's funny, but in the moment, it's never funny. So, yeah.
I think really good, powerful karmic lessons that we're here to have and become manifesting beings. But when you talk about the Lords of Time, are they actually people? Who are they? Where are they?
No, they're vast, vast beings. If you are a fan of the film series, or not series, but the film Dune, you remember those beings that could travel through portals. They're more like that. They're vast. And they hold the time matrix. The time matrix was put into place so that we could enjoy more of life. And, you and I don't think about it that way, but imagine you want to have a child. So in the next scene, the child's 21. You go, wait, I didn't get to hold a baby. I didn't get to see him graduate from high school. I didn't get to see the college choice he went to. So time gives us that segmentation, but it should not limit us. And that's what we've let it do. We've let time limit us. And we're now being taught, nope, you can mess with that. You can stretch time, you can push time together, and not so that you could, what's the word I want? You can accomplish things in less time, but understand that a lot of what we do is getting there, and it's the journey that's important, not the outcome. Sometimes the outcome is important. Sometimes it's the journey that's important.
This is a timely message because a lot of people feel like time is sped up, and maybe it has in some way as we close 3D, right? I have a sense that time runs out in 3D as we shift into 5D. But, with a perception that time is speeding up, then, you create a perception that the days are shorter and you don't have time for everything. So I think this is a really timely message to let people know.
And it's really funny to use that word, right? And I'm going to share with you a message that they gave me recently because of the work that I'm doing, and they're giving me some additional information for our presentation. And they said, "We are the Lords of Time, and we have been waiting for you." This is quite humorous, as you can imagine, because after all, we have all the time in the world. And we are wanting you to understand that our waiting does not have to do with the word time, but has a quality of opportunity, waiting for the opportunity to communicate with you this information that we are conveying to you. that will be part of a series, since you have chosen to be part of the presentation for the Ascension Retreat that Suzanne is holding. And we urge you to finish your scheduling, blah, blah, blah. So the whole concept of how we use the word time is like in our face. And, you know, in the first 5D book, I've written 3 5D books. 2 of them are out, and one of them will be coming out later this year. And in the first one, I talk about how we use words. And one of the common words we use is "I have to." And by doing that, we've handed off our power. We've handed off our God-given spark to some other energy, whoever takes it. But when we choose to say, I'm going to pick up the kids on time because I like picking them up, they're happier, and plus then they don't find me. Or I'm meeting my beloved for dinner, I'm so happy that we get to do this. Rather than I have to finish this report for my boss, which could easily be, I promised I would get it done by this date, I need to go. So the energy around how we use that one phrase, for example, and I put in a whole bunch of phrases that we use commonly where we are literally handing off our power. And I'm now becoming more aware of how we use the word time and how we hand off our power on that. So as you, Suzanne, face this big project, and you literally are holding a huge project in your beautiful hands, I will recommend the phrase, "There is plenty of time to get everything done that I need to do."
Thank you.
Yeah. And the other thing that I do is I call in the dragons to provide the help I need and to attract the people I need to take care of my programming. So it's been very interesting, and you'll hear more about that at another time. But yeah, we've got some big announcements that are coming down.
Well, at the Sedona Ascension Retreat, you'll be going into depth about these time codes and how to work with them. And is that a special workshop, or is that part of a lecture that you're doing at the retreat?
I think Suzanne knows the answer. I just know the title.
I know. So I think it's something we actually need to clarify. And I wrote on my piece of paper, clarify, because we'll do that after this.
One on each day that I'm doing. The first one on Saturday is going to be on moving from 3D to 5D and how to maximize that. And then the talk on Sunday is about what the Lords of Time want you to know.
Okay. Very good. Well, we'll make sure we have
But I
that.
don't know which is which. Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's whatever we want it to be. It's whatever
right.
you want
That's
it to
right.
be.
That's right. And Suzanne and I are very collaborative. You know, she has also written 3 books on the Ascension and this 5D information. And so, you know, there's lots of resources here.
Well, you're also
Thank you.
at the Conscious Life Expo in LA, right? You're going to be there.
That's right. That's right.
To the 12th. Maureen will also be there. But I want to ask about this guy, Donald Hoffman. Do you know him? He wrote the thing that.
Yeah.
I have interviewed him.
Hoffman is saying there's really no such thing as space and time. They're just concepts. So he wrote a book called The Case Against Reality, where he shows how these are fabrications of the mind. Space and time don't live in space and time. We live in the existence of infinite presence. That's where we're living.
That's right. And 3D is a projection onto a screen, which totally blew my mind when I was told that. So,
so if there's only the present moment, right? And so there is no future or past. They're just things we have to fabricate in our own minds. What's the best way, I guess, to be present, be here now? Is that the best way to transcend human space?
So the best way to transcend is to be in the present and to let go of your resistance. You know, just let go of your resistance. And I'll give an example, tell a story on me. I'm in this beautiful Airbnb and we're in Tucson, and we have this amazing backyard that overlooks the mountain and a wonderful spa. But the house itself is very tiny. And I walked in and I was so struck by, there's not enough space for my makeup in the bathroom, let's say, okay? And I didn't say these things out loud, but I felt it. You know, I felt like this. And I was feeling like a little kid, disappointed that the dolly I ordered wasn't a redhead instead of, you know, whatever. Anyway, you get my drift. So we all have these little moments of resistance. And I took a moment and my husband held me and, you know, just kind of let me feel my angst. And then we got over it, you know, we just got over it. And it's partly, I think, because we're spoiled because we have a beautiful space somewhere else, you know. So.
Right.
So we all have resistance. And the idea is it's okay to have resistance, but then as quickly as you can, unhook from your resistance, validate the little girl or the little boy in you that wants to have her way or his way, and then unhook, say, okay, you know, this is what it is. I'm choosing to enjoy the beauty that is around me, the ambiance, the good things that have been provided, and forget the rest. Doesn't matter.
Well, the question is, though, Maureen, I think we've talked about this. When people have trauma, there's a part of them fragments off and they get stuck in the past. So it's hard for them to be present, especially if it's multiple traumas. How do they release the past, the trauma, where part of their psyche still is? And
I have a couple of very big solutions. And the first one has to do with the app that I created called Illuminate, and it's available on both the iPhone and the Android. And in that app are 30 some guided meditations, and we are constantly adding more. The first 6 are free, so you know you can download it for free and listen to a bunch of meditations for free and decide if you like it. But in that app, there is a meditation group called Unify, and it is the soul retrieval that you do by yourself for yourself. And what it does is it creates the window for you to recover from that event, because most people have dropped off or broken off a piece of themselves when they have those big traumas. And so those pieces of themselves are kind of lost in space. And there's lots of things that can be abused or misused by having those lost parts. So everybody wants to retrieve their lost parts. And even if you don't know of a specific event where you quote lost parts, you can do this process and just claim all the lost parts from this time period to this time period if you don't know or don't remember. And what happens is your consciousness expands because now you're fully powered up. So your point is very well taken that when you've had trauma, it's very difficult to, you know, unhook from little disappointments because you got this big one hanging, you know, on your shoulder. So you no longer need to go to a shaman to have them retrieve your lost parts. You can do it by yourself, for yourself. And that was created when I had a big loss and my younger sister, who I was very close to, was killed in a car crash. And I was given very specific instructions on what to do and how to do it. And when I completed that process, I put all my workshops, postponed all of them, and took 6 weeks to recover from this huge loss. And the following day, the man who had been with me on the dolphin swim where we got the news of my sister's death, who had been calling me every single day, first thing out of his mouth was, "Maureen, you sound like you're all together." And I said, "I am all together." And so it really does make a difference on how we
you explain
operate in the world.
just say the process. I didn't take all that in. I was just thinking my own traumas, but what did you, I know you laid this out, but what's the step-by-step way to release it? I mean,
Okay, step by step, this is all in the guided meditation, so it is explained on the app, the Unify group. But the first step is you think about what specific category you want to recover. And it could be over a period of time, or it could be a car accident, a job loss, a breakup, could be anything, the traumas that we've all encountered. Then you send your higher self out to collect those lost parts while you are sleeping. And you bring them back into your field, but you don't integrate them. Then if you know the Merkaba, you do that. If you know some other centering meditation, you do that. And then you wash the parts, and then you allow them to integrate. And then you cover yourself with healing balm from Archangel Raphael and a secondary healing bubble from Archangel Michael. But again, it's all outlined in the app. So, use the app. It saves you a ton of time. You don't have to think about it. It just calls it out for you.
They wash the parts, wash them.
Yes, because if, think about it. Let's say you're cleaning up a big trauma that you had 20 years ago that you maybe have forgotten about, but it's coming up to the surface. You don't know what has happened with that lost part. You don't know. Parts of you can be hijacked. Parts of you can be used for nefarious purposes. So when you call them back, you have every right to call them back. But they might be tainted. They might have junk on them. And so the purpose of washing them is to get rid of all that stuff that may have encountered. And one of the things that I have discovered is that when you get a memory of something that happened a while ago that you'd even forgotten about, that's your call to action. Take care of it and deal with it. Because when you do, it's like, okay, I'm better now. I'm more who I really am. I'm more of my divine self.
So take care of it because it's coming up, and then you could be more present, more creator, and interacting with the time codes. If you're still frozen in one part, it's hard to be with the time codes that are available. Great. That is really helpful. That is really, really good. Well, Suzanne, you're doing it. You had a vision of a conference, and every year you have a vision of it getting better and better, and it gets better and better. There's now more tickets sold and more interactions, and you just look like you're glowing. Doesn't she look like she's glowing there, Maureen? She really does.
She's definitely glowing.
Oh, thank you. Just got back from a walk with the dogs, and the sun is out shining brightly. So yeah, I feel all sun-kissed. But yes, I always glow when it's time to plan these events, and I'm always planning because I have one in March, and as soon as that's over, I'm planning the one in September, and as soon as that's over, we're planning the one in March. But I feel so incredibly blessed. It is truly my calling to do these events, to gather like-minded people, to connect with, world-leading luminaries like yourselves. And when you're at the event, and bless your heart, both of you, because you have been with me for years and you've seen my events take on all different shapes and sizes. And you're still coming. And so, yeah, it's just been a beautiful journey along the way. Every event just has its own special frequency and its own unique energy. But the last event in March, was really incredible. And people were saying over and over again to me, this event is so high vibe. From the exhibitor hall to the main stage, to the workshops, to the journeys. And people would even say, the vibe is getting higher and higher and higher as the event proceeds. So that's the goal, right? Is for us to really raise that vibration at the event. And then, of course, we do global impact meditations where everyone engages in a meditation with the intention of sending our love light frequency through the ley lines of Mother Earth to reach everyone around the world. We send this energy out into the cosmos to reach all of our cosmic brothers and sisters, right? So we want to harness, right, that collective love light frequency and spread it. And so, yeah, this is one way to do that with these big events. So I just feel so blessed for people like yourself to.
I want to give some practical information in that Suzanne has addressed practically anything you could think of. So, the venue itself is fabulous. wonderful space, beautiful experiences, room to grow, but not so overwhelming, because each year it gets bigger and bigger. And even something as simple as the food trucks that are in the outside, just outside the actual building. It's fun to be there and to be mingling with people. And I want to give one other comment, and that is, I so admire you, Suzanne. And it's partly because I've been there myself, where you are working for years and years and years without seeing any real profit. And I've often wondered how people know when it's time to give up the project. And in my world, it wasn't an option. I was going to keep doing it no matter what, even if I had to, break the bank. And that's you as well. And I know this is going to take off in a very big way, and it is going to generate for you some financial reward at some point. But I want everyone to know that this is a true labor of love, and that Susan has been very good to her speakers. She's very sincere and very high integrity. And when you come, you're going to feel that high vibe, and that percolates all the way down to the staff that run the actual event with her, and her support system of her sister, who is her business partner. It's just quite incredible to watch and to be part of. And I'm truly grateful to be part of it. Thank you.
And
Oh,
it's
thank you for that, Maureen.
and it's like you are serving the greater picture, Suzanne. You're pulling all these parts together because this is just what has to be done. You're at service and you are self in that. So, there's no ego attached. You just want it to be the best event possible. And you do that. You put everything you can into it. And your great husband is also fantastic, He's there.
He is. Yeah. He's going to be security at this event. He's going to be checking lanyards. And if there's any need for safety or security, he's going to be on it.
It's wonderful. Plus, he provides for you and this programming to get it up and running, and there's something you said for stability, to give you the freedom to create this.
Definitely. The wind beneath my
wings.
I wanted to Maureen about, if we have a little bit more time, right? Which is the mystery schools and your big vision, Maureen. So you're doing these time codes, you have these other fifth dimension, but I don't think I've ever asked you, what is the huge vision you have with your work and plan and where you want to take people?
Well, if you know about the Barbara Brennan School, that would be pretty close to the big vision. So we do have people who are teaching classes in our programming. We're expanding our programming. We have some new staff that has come on board that I will be sharing about later. And we are positioned to see a huge growth in our offerings and in the programming that's coming on board and the people that are working with us. It's very, very big, very big. And what I can tell you is that I asked the dragons to bring the people to me that I needed, and they have. And they continue to. So
what ultimate goal of it? What's like you're doing this,
and what goal is to have an online school where people can take the training they want and the training they need, to have certification programs for the Akashic Records and other trainings that I have created, and quite possibly a physical structure. I do not know yet, because as far as the physical structure goes, it may just be an etheric building. I don't know, because the world is changing around us. And I truly, 5 years ago, would not have realized how comfortable people have become with online training. But during Zoom, that was all we could do. And so we got used to it, whether we wanted to or not. And so at the same time, I would like to have a physical presence, because then you can have interaction with people, just like Suzanne's event. And you can have people come and stay for a while and take, 3-week training, 3 months training, and really dive deep. So the universe is showing me what to do. And one time when someone said to me, well, how do you know where to go? My answer was always the same. I go where I'm told. Did you get it? Isn't that funny?
That is funny.
So sometimes I get told and sometimes I get towed. So
Oh.
it's a little play on words.
That's great. I'm so proud of you for your app, Maureen, I have to say. You know, that has got to be a project to dive into an investment and kind of the complex tech. I know you have support from your beloved, but you know, still that's a big undertaking, and congratulations, you did it. It's active, it's live, it's multifaceted. I've seen it. It's beautiful. So very
We
proud
also
of you
have,
for that.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We also have added recently Chinese Merkaba and Spanish angel meditation. So we're dipping into some foreign marketplaces. Very exciting stuff.
What's the name of the app? I'll put it in the chat.
Called Illuminate, and it is a purple box with a gold arrow that's curved, a curvy gold arrow, which is supposed to be the phi ratio.
Right. You know, there's a film festival happening in Santa Barbara this year too.
No.
Right, that's a separate conversation. But okay, so you have this big picture, you want to teach students, but beyond that, what is that all for? For the planet? I mean, where's this ultimately going? You know, as people you do your courses and gain wisdom, what's that picture of the vision for the planet? That's what I'm asking, really.
Okay, so my vision for the planet is to help people be the best they can be, so they can step into their power, so they can become fully actualized. Because I have been shown that, you know, we're becoming ascended masters. You know, the earth is already on its ascension path. We're trying to catch up. Our spirituality has not caught up to our technology. And so what we're doing is learning, I like to say the practical tools, but also the power tools that will allow us to be the ascended master. And I see that this is possible, you know, and to be fair, there are so many ascended masters in embodiment right now. It is remarkable. And, you know, people get confirmation in the Akashic records, and it is quite special. And here's a little tip. If you want to know, well, am I one of those that is ascended master and I haven't discovered it yet, or I haven't uncovered it maybe, or I have to unlock all the programming I got as a child? There's 2 things that I can absolutely guarantee. Number one, if you find that you're fearless, or if people say to you, you're fearless, that's one way you know you're an ascended master. And the second way is if you've ever tried to do a past life regression and it doesn't go anywhere. Now, why would that be? Because when you come in as an ascended master, you've already achieved mastery. You're here as part of the reconnaissance team to assist humanity in their shift. You have all this mastery that you do not want to risk or lose. So you have access to the tools and knowledge you've acquired, but you can't get access to history. If you try to do a past life regression, you might get information about your history in your own consciousness, but it will never come through an outside person leading you through a past life regression.
Well, that's interesting. That's a new one for me. That's good. I agree with that. You're off the wheel of karma, then you stepped off.
And by the way, one of the ways to bring your ascension path close is to choose, I have no more karma. And this is what Sanat Kumara said about that. And this is one of the big teachings that I have about there's no more karma. He said, the game is over, referring to the 3D game. If the game is over, the game will end when there are no more players. Will you be the first to leave or the last? I'm out.
So that's about completing the trauma as well, because trauma is karmic residue and being present. And what's the best way to complete the karma, though? How do we really decide?
Well, first of all, okay. So there's a couple of things. Number one, because the rules have changed, and they have, you can just decide, I'm done with karma. Now, what happens with trauma is people are carrying memories, and they're letting those memories define who they are.
Yeah.
Or they're letting those memories color their reactions to situations.
Mhm.
So when you can actively choose no more karma, what you're doing is claiming that whatever happened before doesn't matter, because it's like a football game. It doesn't matter who won. What matters is people got in, they got dirty, they had fun, and they're done. When a child, a little kid, maybe 5-year-old or 6-year-old plays a game, they don't care if they win or lose. There's a few exceptions, but most children at that age don't care whether they win or lose. What do they care about? They had time with the adult. They had time to play, to discover how they think, to learn something, to learn how to act when you don't win. So these things are part of the stepping out of karma. The other thing is, one time I asked the angels, why can't we just tell the angels, look, I'm in? And they said to me, well, sweetheart, when we got married 10 years ago, I told you I loved you. Nothing has changed. And when I heard this, I burst out laughing, because when you're in a relationship, you tell your partner, your beloved, I love you almost every day. And if too much time goes by, you're in trouble or somebody's not feeling well. So then they showed me the sunrise and the sunset. And they said, every day you get a clean slate. So that means the BS that I did when I was in my 20s, too bad, it's gone, it's wiped out. The stuff I did yesterday that I regret, it's gone. And today I can be better. I can choose.
Regrets. That gets me sometime. I mean, how do you deal? I mean, I know it's a cycle, but
I have a meditation for that.
I want to know your regrets, Alan. I mean, really, if you're being transparent here. Was this in your 20s or 30s?
Well, regret happens every day, I think, a little bit. And sometimes regret comes up because you think about something that happened 10 years ago and you wish you'd handled it differently. But I can tell you that there's a meditation called Release and Reinvent, I think it is. And in that meditation, you literally travel back in time. This is another time trick. And you change the event. And you keep replaying it enough that the correction you made changes the reality. And it changes the reality to the present, so that situation changes. And the interaction or reaction with people changes. Now, I don't know if you remember that movie with Christopher Reeves, where he somehow managed to travel in time and meet this woman, and then came back, and then he put himself in that
somewhere
state.
in time.
Somewhere in time. Excuse me. Thank you. But that's a good example of using our mind to tap into a timeline, change the result, and then come back here. And that will percolate forward. And I've seen it. I have seen it. So I know it's true.
The people, I'm sure you say yes, but will it affect the people that you've interacted with? Like, you should have done this or this, and because that usually involves how does it affect other people's realities and histories and time past?
It changes their memory, and it changes their interaction, because memory, this is another thing about time, we are going to shift. This memory was a device that was created for us to experience more of the reality, to, dive deeper, because we could, remember it, but it's become a crutch and also a tool that we have learned to misuse, because when we retell the same sad story over and over, we re-experience those emotions. We etch it into our recording device deeper and deeper. So one of the things I tell people is just tell your sad story 3 times. That's it. After that, you're done. So when we go back and we redo it, we literally redo it for everybody. And it does change the total outcome. It changes how you feel about yourself, and it changes how they feel about themselves. And it may create a timeline that's more aligned with your moving to your divine self.
But as long as we have the memory of the past, of whatever then it's still sort of, do we eventually lose that memory of is that memory of that other timeline always there?
No, what happens is when you start to think about that mistake you made, we'll call it that, what happens is you go right into the new history that you created. Yeah, it's very interesting how that works. But that again creates the Mandela effect.
So there's no memory in a sense. There's no,
okay. So what happens is we are moving from using memory in our brains to accessing the Akashic records for memory. So that's why you could look at someone and think, I wonder what that person's name is. I met them 5 years ago. Okay. And suddenly you know their name. You've tapped into the Akashic records and you pulled it in. So, and everybody's doing this. They don't always know they're doing it, but the more plugged in you are, the easier it is for you to just, ask the question and the answer floats in. And, the first time I did it, I was in college. I was taking an astronomy course, and I decided to take the final exam orally. And I got one of the questions that was, some deep physics and some kind of computation. And when the proctor asked me the question, I remember thinking, I know that answer, but I don't remember. And just then her phone rang and she took the call. And when she got off the phone, I had the answer.
Wow. But what's the relationship between the Akashic records, where all timelines exist, and the time we're living in, which has one of many parallel strands?
Okay, well, first of all, you're posing a linear question around the idea that the Akashic records have all these timelines. They have all the data, but they don't store it in a timeline sequence like you and I do. Right. This is why when you access the records, you are able to easily get the very big picture rather than just a segmented piece.
Right. But I know we'll finish up here because you have so much to share, and you'll be there at the Sedona Ascension Retreat to go.
Well, and frankly, I love you asking me these questions because it really helps me understand what other people need to understand. So I'm going to come back to this recording and go, okay, I can use this. I can use this.
Yeah.
You're helping me out.
Thank you. I'll go back to the recording too. And everyone watching, I recommend, but also come to the conference where you can ask these questions of Maureen and a lot of other very amazing masters. So I'm just trying to understand, the Akashic records are the soul's history, right? Is that what you call it?
The Akashic records is the record of all that is. And all that is consists of various segments, various compartments. So things are compartmentalized. So think about your computer. You can save a document under a category and come back to it anytime you want. And if you're in the middle of writing the document and you walk away, have some lunch and come back, the document hasn't changed until you come back in and change it. So what we want to think about is that the data that's in the Akashic records is the full picture. So it's even bigger than, say, a painting or a picture of something. It is the fully fleshed out, round experience of that event. And our ability to understand that makes us multidimensional. As a matter of fact, one of the things that we teach in the Akashic Records is the ability to be multidimensional, and it's the very first stages of it. And, it allows people to hold awareness where they're at and hold awareness in the Akashic Records. And truly, it's no different than when you and I go to the movies and we suspend disbelief. We sit in the theater and we laugh when something funny happens, or we jump when something scary happens. We know we're safe in our chair. At the same time, we're fully present inside the film.
Right. Anyway, I could go on and on with this, but it reminds me of something I heard on Linda Moulton Howe's show last night, Suzanne. She actually promoted the event, but she talked about this effect that seemed to happen with UFOs, where the outside of the ship is like 40 feet and you go in and it's the size of a football field. How do you explain that, Maureen, in your terminology, your understanding?
What I would say is that our perception is limited to seeing only a 40-foot ship, just like, in the early years when Magellan came to the islands in the South Pacific and the natives couldn't see the big ships, wondered where the people came from. So our ability to perceive is only at that limited size, if you will. If you watch the clouds, and lots of people do, and I do, the cloud formations are always reflecting what's really there in higher dimensions. Sometimes they're actually covering up a ship. And if you start looking around, you're going to see a lot bigger devices than what you and I might think as a 40-foot ship. The other thing is, think of that movie, what was it called? Little, or something like that, where people were shrunk down in size. What if when you get on the ship, you become little, and that's why everything becomes fast?
As you're talking, I was also thinking about, it's also like a folder on your computer. A folder may be one thing. You open up that folder and it contains all this other folders, or you have to get in it. And there's also a kind of thing about space and time with the ET UFO realities, that it's not, I think you're saying that, not what it seems to be, because we're looking at a very limited 3D world, and they don't live in that limited 3D.
That's right.
But it's exciting.
Awesome. You and I could talk for a long time.
Yes, these are new ideas for a new time. Pluto and Aquarius, the age of Aquarius. I'm an Aquarius. Actually, it's my birthday in a few days. That's my Aquarian. And the Aquarian age of transpersonal awakening and timelines and all the things you're saying about the lords of time and us accessing new dimensions of reality. This is what the Sedona Ascension retreats are all about.
And before we close, I want to tell your audience that I recently read your book, Making Contact, and I was blown away. It is a phenomenal book. And if you're looking for a way to kind of dip your toe in the water, this book is it. And if you're already experienced, you're going to love the people that he selected to be contributors. And even, at the beginning where you write about each of the contributions and talk about this anthology, it's just exquisite. I was stunned at not that I have an opinion about you, but I was stunned at how awesome the book was. your voice.
And I know you said you're right, but what was it that really stood out about the information that was like a sort of aha for you? Just curious if it's one thing.
Well, what I liked especially about the book were two things: the opening chapters that you wrote and your analysis of each of the presenters, the authors that you picked to contribute with you. And then the second thing I liked was the actual experience of, is it Christine Cory? I can't think of her first name.
Caroline.
Yes,
Caroline Cory.
yes.
Pretty, and I get calls from people that, this is what's happening to me. I don't know what to do. And, I have one client she was told to use starseed in her email address. And after I'd been working with her for a little while, I said, well, why do you have starseed in your address, in your email? She says, I don't know. What does it mean? So she's getting information, and then something like, I only identify with ascended masters and angels. And I'm thinking, well, you better look in the mirror.
Right. No, and thanks for that comment about the book. And thank you for your work, Maureen. And you are at it. This is your life. This is not like a day job or this is not a this is you're going for it. And I appreciate that.
My honor. My honor.
Suzanne, you are putting it, thank you. You are going for it. I mean, we're all going for it because this is, what other game is there?
Right.
Cameron is the Super Bowl of all Super Bowls, right here. This process we're moving into. And cleaning up the past, yes, creating new possibilities. This is the potential for all of us and the planet. And it's a possibility for a really new time and new possibility. I know there's some awful things happening in the world that, are in our reality. This is the one I'm living. And we have to help clean that up and give love and share peace with as many people as possible, because we all want to live in a beautiful planet, because they're all part of our reality. So there's a lot of work, but I think we're moving into a new time where much more is possible. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you. And thank you, Alan, for hosting New Realities TV for so many years. That's truly your calling. And you've interviewed thousands of people at this point, big time thought leaders and difference makers. So bless you for continuing to do that and for always supporting my events.
I'm fascinated with this time we're in, and you're pulling the people together, not just the speakers, Suzanne, but the community of people that come to these events. That's right, Maureen? It's so important.
I agree. Really.
Yeah. And that's a great service. So yeah, we're all.
And what I'm getting is, Suzanne, you're at the head of the curve.
Thank you.
Is that cool?
Yeah, that is cool. I'll take that in and absorb that. Yes, I just feel like bringing the like-minded community together, Alan and Maureen, is just so powerful. And it's just, it's worth every minute of my time when I look out into the audience and I see people just glowing. And people come up to me. Hundreds of people hug me as they leave and tell me what a powerful, positive difference the event, the speakers, the activities, the community has really made in their lives. And, we know that's what makes it all worth it, right?
Absolutely. Yes. It's our passion and it's our service. And the most exciting thing, I think, that can happen to the planet, right? To see us going from where we were and whatever timeline that was to a whole new reality, new realities. Yes. Well, thank you, everyone watching online. Thank you, Suzanne. Again,
Thank you.
Website.
SedonaAscensionRetreats.com.
What's your website?
SaintGermainMysterySchool.com, and the app is called Illuminate, ILLUMINATE.com. App, probably AP. Yeah, but it's on the app stores, both of them.
My book, Making Contact, on Amazon, and my YouTube channel, this one you're watching, and my new website, new and improved website, newrealities.com. So we'll be doing more of these, Suzanne, with special guests. We definitely want to interview Matt Kahn, who's fantastic. You know him, right?
Oh
Maureen,
yeah,
right?
he's our neighbor now. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but I won't say specifically where.
She put a tractor beam on people.
Right. Whoops.
They're great people. We'll start to do the whole rounds there. So
Yeah,
thank
stay on after the show and you and I chat for a second about who's next and when.
So thank you all for watching. This is Alan Steinfeld for New Realities, and I appreciate it. Subscribe to this channel, got a super chat, and tell your friends about the conference.